That's why when we reduce the deuterium in the diet, we see a beneficial effect. The cell has less deuterium to contend with, and enzymatic reactions, chemical reactions, including methylation, including detox processes, including energy creation, all of this works more seamlessly. Diet is a tool for your life. It's a really powerful tool, but it shouldn't be a religion and it shouldn't be a dogma. It shouldn't become who you are. I hear a lot of people saying, I am a vegan, I am a carnivore, I am a Petarian, I follow Ray Pete. There's a natural tendency for humans to do this where we actually identify with something that we're doing, something that we're practicing, some kind of diet, religion. That's not really the way. We're not actually a carnivore. We just eat in a carnivore way, or we eat in a vegan way. And unfortunately, this is some of the sort of internal tribalism that we haven't quite left behind yet as a species. It causes a lot of arguments online, and people can actually become identified so much with their diet that they become identified and personally attached to the science to prove that it's effective. You know, they become limited by the science of the carnivore diet. They become so encompassed by that diet and the whole identity with it and the whole community of the carnivore tribe or the vegan community or whatever, the vegan tribe. As soon as they become one of these tribe members, everything else has to fit into that box. It's a really dangerous place to be, and it's kind of given us the result that we have, which is a suboptimal understanding of the body. It's not the right attitude for how we need to be healing. We need to realize and become humans, and once we're humans, conscious humans, then we can begin to apply things as tools for us to use and to help us without fear, without any sort of unnecessary emotional baggage around a certain topic. A lot of what happens with people is they go through such emotional distress when they get sick that when they do find some answers, it is such a relief, but also they end up facing a lot of criticism and negative comments or poor attitudes from their family and their friends, and so this is why they actually feel isolated and feel like they need to become a part of the carnivore tribe or carnivore community, because they actually need other people online to connect with who understand what they're going through and what they've been through, and also how much this carnivore diet works. There's really nothing wrong with that. It's a kind of natural reaction, but can we leave it behind? Can we get to a point where we don't have to do that? Can we become more aware of what's happening and remain human? Could this be better for our relationships? Could this be better for our friends and family if we're able to incorporate the benefits of this diet, but not allow negative comments and criticisms to deter us from doing the diet, but also not allow them to make us retaliate in such a way that we change our idea of who we are and our identity and move into this tribal sort of reactionism? Can we just remain who we are and our core being and apply the diet and get the benefits and still remain relaxed and calm, have a healthy attitude to life and to other people around us, have a bit of understanding that they don't understand why we're doing this diet, they don't understand why we're making these changes, but it's okay that they don't understand, because they don't need to understand. We understand, and we're going to keep doing it, and that's fine. But we don't have to project this frustration and anger outwards at the world for not understanding us. So I'm going to move forward now. Diet is a tool, and it should be pliable and flexible. It should be functional to your life. So whatever you're bringing in needs to help you in your situation where you are. Perhaps your situation needs to change. Perhaps you do need to move out of the place where you live. Perhaps you do need to change your job. Perhaps you do need to change the circle of friends that you're around. These tools need to meet you where you are in this moment. And at every stage, at every change, at every corner, it needs to continue to give you what you need in that moment. It should be flexible to that. Really important that diet can't become a dogma or a religion or an identity, because then it loses its value as a tool. Because if we need to change that diet later down the road at some point, it's going to cause such internal emotional distress for us to have to drop our identity of the carnivore diet. It has to be fluid, loose and natural, or else it's going to cause emotional distress. The next thing is, ketogenic diet is a really good way of lowering deuterium in your blood. Lowers the amount of deuterium in food. Of course, we're eating less deuterium when we're on a ketogenic diet. Lower amounts of deuterium then end up in the blood. That lower amount of deuterium means there's less deuterium going into the cell where it can cause problems. Deuterium will actually slow down all enzymatic, which is enzymes, chemical reactions. It will also slow down the molecular machinery inside the cell, including the nanomotors in the mitochondria. It actually seems to break the nanomotor that creates ATP for us. That's why when we reduce the deuterium in the diet, we see a beneficial effect. The cell has less deuterium to contend with, and enzymatic reactions, chemical reactions, including methylation, including detox processes, including energy creation, all of this works more seamlessly. Often a detox process with ketosis, where we actually will dump a lot of deuterium out of our cells for the first few weeks, and this can be quite uncomfortable, and you can actually go through a few periods of sort of fever. But fever is actually a way of the body getting rid of deuterium. It's actually a really smart way of the immune system. It's the way of the immune system actually getting rid of damaged and old cells and replenishing the body. After they've gotten through that sort of rocky period where they don't feel so great, continuing them consistently on a ketogenic diet, getting them to incorporate these changes into their life. As I mentioned, there's the family, friends, career, job, emotional component where this diet will start to create perhaps discord or tension between family members. It can make other people feel like they're losing you, and even though they're not, it can kind of make them feel uncomfortable and unsure of what's happening. So we need to be able to manage that. The other really cool thing about, we actually start to use fats instead of glucose. Two really cool things with that. One is that you get 5 times the amount of ATP per molecule of fat versus the amount of ATP you get from glucose. So you get 5 times more ATP, which is kind of like the energy currency in the cell, and that's excellent. That's really good for disease, because the more energy we have, the more ATP we have, the faster we can heal, the faster we can detox. Because that's why fat burning, carnivore and keto are so powerful and such excellent tools. The other really big thing is that the ketogenic diet, through fat burning, actually increases the amount of deuterium depleted water that we make inside the mitochondria. So when we make energy inside the mitochondria, we actually produce water as the final step, and that water is always deuterium depleted. What you're doing is you're not only putting in deuterium depleted food, you're actually generating even more deuterium depleted water, and you're generating more energy. The longer you do this diet, the longer you stay in ketosis, the better and better it gets. We're getting like a compounding effect. It's not just a linear progression, you're getting a compounding effect, which is really, really amazing. And that's why the ketogenic diet has showed promising results with cancer, and why a lot of people swear by fasting. What is fasting really? Fasting is ketosis. More extreme process of the ketogenic diet with no food, but that actually creates more ketones, and you burn your body fat. Instead of eating the fat from food, you actually burn the body fat from your body, and you still get all the same benefits. 5 times the energy creation, and you also of course make more deuterium depleted water by doing that also. But your diet is actually 0 deuterium. It's just whatever deuterium you've got in your fat cells. Again, this can cause a bit of a slump for the first 3 to 4 days of a fast, because you're actually burning through a lot of junk and deuterium loaded cells, and that's why people can start to actually feel bad and have a bit of a nasty detox process. But towards the end of the sort of like 2, 3, 4, 5 days, depending on the person, the more deuterium depleted they become, they feel transcendental, they feel phenomenal, they feel mentally, how they feel physically, they feel like they don't need food anymore. We need to understand how to create a long-term adherence plan to a deuterium depleting protocol, not only with the diet but also with other things, and that's where the quantum biology comes in, because that also allows us to deplete deuterium naturally. All of this, including the understanding of the relationships and where the person is in their life, their mentality, their attitude, people around them, their job. We need to do a really good job of explaining to people that they shouldn't feel strange or like an alien for doing these diets. These are just something therapeutic, and if anyone asks, they shouldn't be overly zealous about explaining this, because when you try and explain this miracle diet that you found, it actually makes other people feel disconnected from you, or like they don't understand you anymore. Sometimes it can be good to just say, I'm on this special diet and I don't really want to talk about it, it's not going to really change who I am. Be a bit more closed about it. It sounds a bit strange because you think it should be something that you should share, but actually it has the opposite effect. It's actually better to sort of just act like this is just something nutritional and therapeutic that you have to do, and just kind of be a bit more sort of passive about it, and like, yeah, it's just something I've got to do for a short period of time. I can't eat this. I've got to sort out kind of, you know, my body. I've got a lot of inflammation. I keep getting sick, and you know, it's just something I've got to do for sort of 6 months, and as you do that process, you'll change, and people will notice the change in your energy, and then you can let them to start asking questions like, well, why do you do that? And what's this? Let them get curious. That's actually better than dumping your whole new idea all over them, which just makes them feel overwhelmed, confused. They will feel sort of like disconnected, and that's not where we want to be. So it's all about creating adherence, and that's really emotional, relationship based, socially based, just as much as it is actually in discipline and getting them to eat a certain way. That's something that I wanted to speak about. Also cheat meals and not being obsessive. You know, we need to use sort of supplements and different things in the diet that, you know, different therapeutics that can allow someone to have a cheat, but there are supplements, there are adaptogens that we can use that lower the body's response and reactivity to certain foods, so that if you do have a cheat day, or if you don't want to go on such an extreme carnivore diet, actually using these things can be really, really good, and it can actually bring you a bit more into harmony and lower your cortisol level. Everyone's cortisol levels are super high at the moment. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be making more of these. I'll see you back here very soon.